Alright, so you're going to want to get a big pot over medium-high heat. And you're going to add your... What the... Wrong burner, guys. That happens sometimes. You're going to add your tomato paste. So there's our tomato paste, and we're going to want this to brown. Alright, so we've added the tomato paste, and it is really burning. So we're going to want to let this tomato paste brown. And get a little bit of the aromatic flavor in there. Gosh, the pan is burning, but we're going to go ahead and add our water now. So I just wanted to try that because it was in a recipe that I saw and it looked interesting, but obviously it didn't work. So sometimes that happens and you just got to work with it and make adjustments on the fly so that you don't end up with a burn taste in your chili, because that's not going to be very pleasant for anybody. Add our ground beef. And then we're going to want to stir that into a sludge, is what it says. So, and I think we want to actually take it off of the heat at this point, if I remember right from looking at the recipe. So now we're going to mix it up into a really appetizing, delicious looking sludge. Look at that. Don't you just want to drink that? I know I do. Alright, so one of the things that I'm going to show you really quick is just that, so while I'm doing this, and especially at that first step, as you saw, you know, things were kind of hairy a little bit, and, you know, if I wouldn't have been able to work quickly, that could have been bad, or we could have just wasted that whole can of tomato paste. So, one of the things that you want to do is you want to have as much prep done as you can, and so if you look over here, you'll see that we have all our prep ready to go. It's all laid out. It's all in its own individual container. And obviously, most people maybe don't have enough things to have each thing in its own container. But you can have all your ingredients out, ready. All your utensils or your measuring spoons out and ready to go. And now you can see that this looks very sludge-like. And I think that's ready to go right there. So we're going to go ahead and bring it back over onto our heat at this point, and we're just going to keep stirring until it forms more of a paste. So we're going to let it go ahead and simmer some of that water off, at which point we'll be ready to add the rest of our ingredients. And then from there, it just needs to simmer and let all those flavors blend together and get that really good, delicious chili taste. And like I said at the beginning, we are going to be doing this over the 2 days, so we're going to do the optional steps, and you know, that's based on your preference. Obviously you don't have to do that, and so you could just watch the whole video straight through if you're not going to be doing that. Alright, so we got a nice simmer going, and now the next step is to add all the rest of the ingredients except for the ones that we're going to be adding tomorrow. So we'll start off with our tomato sauce. All the whole can of tomato sauce. Yum. And then our onion. 1 large onion. Stir that in. And then the garlic. 6 cloves of garlic, minced. Chili powder, 3 tablespoons. Stir that in nice and slow. Now we're starting to actually kind of look like chili at this point. Before we had a nice beef, tomato paste, and water soup. Alright, we're adding our cumin. Our cinnamon. Allspice. Ground cloves. And here's one thing, when you first, if you haven't been cooking before and you're just starting now, it's going to seem like it's crazy expensive because you're going to have to buy a lot of these spices. But you're not going to use too much of these spices. So once you have them, then that's going to cut down on your costs dramatically. But starting off, yeah, it's a little bit more expensive. That's just like anything starting off, though. You have to get a lot of the tools and things like that. So, all right, this is our cayenne. If this ends up being a little bit too spicy for you, you can go ahead and cut back on the cayenne if you want. That's just all kind of based on preference. But I don't think that much cayenne will be that dramatic. Increase the hotness of it. Alright, our salt. Kosher salt is obviously the best. It doesn't have any impurities in it or anything added to it. But again, not that big a deal if you want to use sea salt or even your regular iodized table salt. And finally, finish it off with our Worcestershire sauce. Alright, and then we are going to stir. Alright, so as this is heating up and reducing a little bit of the water out of it, I'm going to tell you a little bit about how the idea came about and what it's going to look like as we're going forward. So the original idea was, I developed it in culinary school, honestly, which was a while ago. Goodness, I don't know. 10 years ago, yeah, 10 years ago maybe, almost 10 years ago at least, that my favorite class was international cuisine, and so we cooked foods from all over the world, and I loved it, and ever since then I've always been interested in kind of taking a journey around the world and trying foods that are common or well known in every country. And I have had that idea and originally kind of wanted to do a cookbook. That didn't end up. It was just the logistics of it, and the fact that I wouldn't be able to enjoy other people experiencing it quite the same. Just never kind of got off the ground. So then with the pandemic and all that kind of stuff, I've been thinking about it a lot more and came up with this concept of having a website and the social media and all that, so that as I'm making this stuff, then you guys can make it too. And hopefully I'll be able to make it easy enough and, so that you really can't screw it up. And that way anybody can make it, and we can kind of, as a community, enjoy all these foods from all over the world together. We're going to be starting off in Ohio because that's where we're from. And then we'll be traveling around the United States. And then from there, it's going to take about a year. I think we're going to have a couple of actually special meals in there in that year to fill out an entire year, 52 meals, 1 meal a week. And then once we finish with that, then we'll be starting and going around the world, and we'll be making actually the national dish or national dishes of each country that we visit. All right, and then from here, it's just simmer for 1 to 3 hours. The longer you let it go, the more those flavors are going to blend together and meld together, and you're going to get a really rich chili flavor. That's all done. We're gonna throw a lid on there. All right, see you in a minute. All right, so it's been simmering, and we're gonna stir it for a minute, and then we're gonna take it off, and we're gonna let it cool before we put it in the refrigerator, because we don't want to put it straight from the stove into the refrigerator. Hey, all right, so we're back. We've got our chili right here. We're going to go ahead and defat that. We've also got our water that has just started boiling that we're going to get ready for our spaghetti. So first we're going to go ahead and we're going to skim the fat off this chili. And as you can see, I kind of messed up with this yesterday. I stirred it after I had finished simmering it. I probably shouldn't have done that. So you can see that the fat has kind of been mixed back in. So we're going to skim as well as we can. And then let it be what it will from that point. Alright, so we got all the fat skimmed off. We're going to go ahead and turn this on. And you're going to want probably a medium-low heat. We're going to go ahead and let that go. Let that get back up to a simmer. We've got our water here. And we're going to go ahead and salt our water. Anytime you're making pasta, you want to salt your water. It's going to keep your pasta nice and kind of that firm consistency that you want with pasta. Get a nice generous dose of salt in there. Stir it around until that dissolves. And again, you want to use a little bit of a pure salt. I wouldn't use table salt for that, but whatever you have on hand is probably okay. Alright, now we're ready to go ahead and add our spaghetti. We'll just go ahead and throw that in. And then we'll let that cook. Alright, so our spaghetti has been in here for just a minute or two, so what we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and stir it in. So that way it'll all cook evenly and give us some nice, good consistency on our spaghetti. So you want your water to be at a nice rolling boil. Alright, so our chili is now at a simmer and our spaghetti is nearly done. You're going to want to stir that just every couple minutes or so while it's cooking, so that way it doesn't stick together, it doesn't stick to the bottom of the pan. And then you're only going to let it go maybe 10 minutes. You can kind of check it once it gets about 6 to 8 minutes. And then from there, you know, just look for the consistency that you like. So we're adding the apple cider vinegar and the chocolate. Alright. And we'll go ahead and stir that in. As soon as it's stirred in and melts, the chili will be done. And then I would say our spaghetti will probably be done at that point. We're going to go ahead and plate up, and then we'll be back to show you the finished product.
All right, we've got our Cincinnati style chili all ready here. This is what we call a 5-way. And what that means is it has the spaghetti, the chili, some kidney beans, cheese, and some chopped onions on top. And we've got some yummy oyster crackers here on the side. Now, you don't have to make it this way. You can just do the spaghetti and the chili, or do it anyway from those 2 things all the way up through to all 5 things, whatever you prefer. So we're gonna dig in and try this out.